I'm going to ask Jennifer Reynolds if she'll come here and join me while I kick things off here and give a few introductory remarks. And also if Olga Tero, if she could come up here as well. He asked me to describe a little bit about why we're here. So I'm going to read to you from the Arizona State Constitution, Article 2, Section 2. Here's what it reads. All political power is inherent in the people, and governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed, and are established to protect and maintain individual rights. Okay, Article 2, Section 2 of the Arizona State Constitution. Now that couldn't be more clear about what the role of government is, and I'm grateful that our state constitution has that. And in the last election, there wasn't any message more clear that we needed to stop Common Core and return education to local control in Arizona. Am I wrong on that? That's about what it was. And a few people around this place that have offices here need to be reminded of that clear message that the voters of Arizona sent. That's the purpose of this rally. That's why we're here, and that's why we're going to hear some messages, because I think we stumbled a little bit in the last legislative session, and we didn't get rid of it. We didn't do what the voters and the people that have political power asked us to do. And so we have another session, and we have a chance to repent and get better, because we need to do what the people have asked us to do in Arizona, and that is to stop Common Core in Arizona. These two people here to my right have done more to help in this effort than most here. Jennifer Reynolds with Arizona's Against for Common Core, and Olga Tero of the Mommy Lobby. They have done a lot. I'm going to ask them to say a few things, and I don't know why I'm on the podium. You guys deserve the gold medal, so I'm going to step down. I'm going to let them say a couple of things, and then I'll introduce, do a few little housekeeping things, but we definitely want to hear from some of you and some messages that you've prepared. So Jennifer, let's hear from you first.
I certainly don't need this podium, almost being 6 feet tall, but it makes me feel good anyways. This rally is for you, Arizona's Against Common Core. We can't forget our lovely lady, Jenna Ray, who set up a lot of the speakers here today. She has worked tirelessly in the opt-out movement, so please give her a round of applause. Thank you, Jenna. We wanted to have this rally to let you know, to energize you, to let you know we continue to need your voices. We came extremely close in the legislative session, as Jared mentioned, in getting our opt-out bill passed. We're short one vote. We can do it, folks. We can do it with your continued energy, your continued support. I just wanted to let you know that our main goal for our organization has always been to restore local control closest to you, the parents, and that continues to be our goal. Many of us in the spring were threatened by our local schools saying you have no right to opt out, with fear tactics like, oh, we're going to lose money for our school. Children, we're going to not receive performance pay for our teachers. Children will not be able to participate in their sports event or musical performance. And even more abhorrently, children were forced to sit in front of a computer screen during the test. It is our right from our God to direct the education and upbringing of our children. No auspices of government can take that right away from us, and I want to make that very clear. It cannot be taken away from us from an Attorney General's opinion letter or by our school administrator. I want to let you know there's very courageous states who are leading the way. One I wanted to mention is New York, who has over a 20% opt-out rate in their state right now. And I want to let you know that their state has not lost any federal money. No Title I money has been lost. I continue to have educational flyers for all of you, and I hope that you take advantage of those. One of them is called Why You Can Boycott Standardized Tests Without Fear of Penalties from Your School. This is very true, and it's happening across the nation, so I don't want you guys to back down and be fearful of your school administrators or people trying to use fear tactics on you that you will lose money. Parents and students and teachers generally should not fear any harmful consequences to their schools due to federal laws if parents boycott the tests. We also have defined in statute, we don't need it, but it's also defined in statute, our parental rights in 1601 and 1602, that we have the right to direct the upbringing of our children through education and other programs. So I encourage you to take some time at our little booth over here and pick up some of those flyers as well. I wanted to leave you a short little message from one of our founders, George Washington. He had this to say: "The best means of forming a manly, virtuous, and happy people we found in the right education of our youth. Without this foundation, every other means, in my opinion, must fail." So I hope you continue to fight with us in this fight. We are extremely close in winning. We need to continue to have your voices. So onward, upward, toward our victory. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Olga Taro, and I serve on the Standards Development Committee, which the governor tasked for us to review and replace Common Core. And if it were up to me, I'd have done it by myself a long time ago. There's 17 of us on the committee. We just recently sat the working groups for English language arts and math. But this is where we need you, because that committee of working groups, their task was very carefully worded. Their task was to use input from the public. So if we don't speak up, our silence is our voice. They will take that as a tacit acceptance that we like Common Core and all that goes with it just the way that it is right now. It is very imperative that we hear from you. If you need help on what to say or feel intimidated by the process, I'll give Jennifer, call her, she'll put you in touch with me. I hate to give my phone number out here just now, but I want to give you the website just so you are familiar with it. It's k12standards.az.gov. And I came to this just as a regular mom like all of you. I had basic questions that my teachers, my principal, my school board couldn't answer, and I realized that my state was letting me down by accepting this one-size-fits-all. And when you can't help a second grader with their homework, it's not because you're a less than parent. It's because there's less than standards and less than methods being put on our children. And if anybody asks you, well, which standard don't you like? You ask them which one that they like that has been researched and proven. This is a grand experiment on our children. The standards are just a small piece, and other speakers will tie in the dots of data collection and some of the other things. But right now, our kids are in school every day being taught. They have one chance to be in the grade that they're in, and they need the best from the standards. They need the best from their teachers. Their teachers need to be unshackled from the processes that they're mandated to do. And so I'm begging you, really, say something, say anything, whether it's, I don't want the standard to be so prescriptive that I can't figure out what they say, or bring cursive back. Or there's a mismatch between too much fiction to nonfiction writing or reading. There's all kinds of things that you can say, and I am happy, more than happy to help you. Jennifer, Jared, all of us can help you with this. And we need you just like we needed you during the legislative session. And one quick word on the mommy lobby. We kind of just all fell into getting to know each other across the state. When Representative Fincham had HB 2190 come, we all showed up one legislative day. And we had, I think, almost one person representative from every legislative district. And let me tell you how nice it was to stand up in 2 rows of that building behind us and be introduced and watch those legislators' eyes get real big, saying, oh my gosh, the moms and the grandmas came. And that's what we need to do. We need to speak up for our kids. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Olga. And I do appreciate, we do have some elected officials here today that I would like to recognize. We're going to hear from some. I see Senator Jay Lawrence. Did you, wait, Representative. Oh, you just got promoted. Demoted. Thank you for being here, Representative Lawrence. Representative Fincham is here. We're grateful for you. And if you'll stand here, we'll hear from you in just a moment here. And then we have Superintendent Diane Douglas here that we're going to hear from here in a moment as well. Thank you for being here. Did I miss anybody? Councilman Guy Phillips from City of Phoenix.
Right here.
Scottsdale, even better. Thank you. And then we have Councilwoman Emelina Peterson here from the town of Queen Creek. Turley. I'm going to get this right one of these days. Thank you. We're glad that you're here. It's important. Okay. Daryl Colvin from Gilbert Public School Board, also an elected official. Thank you, Daryl, for being here. Okay, who else am I missing here? Okay, I think we got it covered here. We do want to thank a couple of people here that helped us bring this about. Harry Matthews here is helping us with audio visual. We can give Harry a hand there. We've recognized Jenna Ray. She moves heaven and earth to organize all of this. Jenna's there in the back. Robin Finlinson here on photography. Thank you. I'd like to thank the Scouts and the Writers USA also here for the Pledge of Allegiance. Now I'm going to ask, okay Jenna, I'm going to need your help. Come on up here, because Jenna's brought a few things. These types of things and these movements take money. Okay, you know you're going to know that this spends some money, and the good thing about the freedom and liberty movement is you can't buy it, right? But it does take some money, and enough money will win. And so what I'm going to ask Jenna to do is maybe go over here and show us where the box is, and show us where we can get Common Core, Stop Common Core stickers, some of these good-looking Stop Common Core buttons. All right, Jenna, hold up. First off, let's hold up the donation box there. If you have some donations, please put it in the box there. That'll be very helpful. And then hold up some of the stickers and buttons. That's where you can get some material. You can sign up to be on Jennifer Reynolds' email list. You can hand some of those out to some of your friends and family that are also looking to restore local control in our school system. Thank you, Jenna. Okay? Thank you. Okay, we are going to hear now from you, because each of you have an important message to tell us. And we're going to start with Representative Fincham here. I'd also like to invite Superintendent Douglas to join here after Representative Fincham. Come on up, Diane. Come on up. We're going to hear from these two individuals. They've done a lot to help remind us how important it is to restore local control. So without further ado, Representative Fincham, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to start with a question to you. Y'all know the difference between a right and a privilege, right? Who gives you rights? Okay. And who grants privileges? Okay. So specifically, in our experience, parents not only have the authority, but have the duty and responsibility to raise their children as they should go. You'll probably recognize that phrase. But that is the essence of being a parent. Government doesn't have the authority to take away a right. That's long established law in the United States. So, as many of you might know, I made a promise to run a bill to repeal and replace Common Core. Does this t-shirt make me look fat? I hope not. There are two courses to change our history. One is through legislation, and I can assure you that in markup right now is a bill that we're working on that will provide cover for parents to exercise their authority to opt out, at the same time to restore parental authority in other areas having to do with education, and to provide cover and protection for student data. This student mining thing, and Lisa Hudson's going to talk to you here in a couple minutes about something that's just beyond the scope of imagination. I'm very pleased that I had the full support of Representative Jay Lawrence, who is a hallmate of mine, in the effort to repeal and replace Common Core. Okay, so 34 in the House passed it, 14 in the Senate voted for it. We had a couple of recalcitrant Chamber of Commerce folks that wanted to continue the status quo, but we're working on them. There is a statute that's in markup right now that will do all the things that I just alluded to, but that's the legislative side. I want to talk to you for a moment about the litigation side. We have formed something called It's My PII, and I have some flyers here. Yeah, I'm hitting you up for $1, but if you think about this for a second, we have roughly 1.1 million school children in the state of Arizona. Do you know how much it costs for us to get an injunction to essentially sue Barack Obama and Arnie Duncan to restore FERPA? $30,000. 1.1 million kids, and I got parents that are standing in this audience right now that have knocked out a $100 bill to try and fund this effort. So $1 per student gets us all the way to the Supreme Court. The theory of the case is this: separation of powers. Congress passes laws, the president signs them, and they become a law, a statute. When the president seeks to alter the elements of a statute, that's called encroachment. It's also called a violation of the separation of powers. That is the theory of the case. It is very simple. It is not elegant. It is down and dirty in the trenches. This is what we do to assert our rights under the Constitution. Now, the intention of this is to shut off the data flow from the state of Arizona to anybody who's not dealing with education of the child. Assessments are supposed to be for us to gauge the progression of a child through to an acceptable level of performance for graduation. It's not designed, it shouldn't be part of the idea of building a bigger, better textbook, a bigger, better testing scheme, let's test kids until they're so stressed out they don't want to go to school anymore. Frankly, I think this has probably been the best thing in the world for the homeschool movement, to keep them out of school. So there are some things that we're working on within the bill, but I really do need to have you take a close look at itsmypii.com. That's itsmypii.com. And this is a real opportunity for us to make a change in education and reassert parental authority. So if you've got the opportunity, please see me. I'll walk amongst you and see if we can't get these brochures out. Visit the website, give $1 or give $5 or $10. It's not a big deal. It's, as they say in Pima County, it's a latte. All right? Thank you very much for your time. Just know that you have got 34 members of the House of Representatives who are fighting very hard to ensure that you have parental authority, your students' rights are protected, and we get out of this mess. Have a nice day, and thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Diane Douglas, and I have the honor and privilege, and I thank you for allowing me to be your Superintendent of Public Instruction. Thank you. I want to thank Jennifer and Jenna and Olga for all they've done, not just to make today possible, but throughout the year. I'm here to talk to you. I want to keep it to a few things. There's probably a zillion things I could talk to you about, but I want to talk to you about two things I campaigned on: removing Common Core and parental rights and responsibilities. And it's hard to believe that I could feel more strongly about them now than I did then, but I do. I feel much more strongly about them. But I want to share something with you also that pleasantly surprised me when I came into the Department of Education, that our upper level staff also feels like you do. They believe we can do far better for our children than the Common Core standards, and they're working very hard to be part of the effort to make that change every day. So let me talk about Common Core for a minute. On October 1st, you may have heard I came out with my education plan for Arizona. We call it Arizona Kids Can't Afford to Wait. 30-some different proposals, some of them regarding standards. But what I did when I made that announcement on October 1st was I challenged our State Board of Ed and our State Board of Ed president that on the very next State Board of Ed meeting, which will be October 26th, a week from Monday, to put an agenda item on the board agenda to have an up or down vote, to have a vote to repeal their former decision to implement Common Core here in Arizona. Now, thank you. Make no mistake, that vote will not change a single standard in Arizona, but let me tell you what that vote will do. Number one, it will send a clear message not only to the whole state of Arizona, to the legislature, to the governor, to all the parents, to every state in the union, that Arizona is committed. We are smart enough, we are engaged enough, we are active enough to know what a good education should be for our children, and that we're capable of taking control of our children's education and moving forward with higher, truly rigorous standards that we know will help our children be the American citizens and the citizens of Arizona that we want them to be. Our children are far more than that disgusting term, human capital, that's floating around these days. The second thing that agenda item will accomplish is it will put every single member of that board, they will have to come to task and say yes or no. Do they support Common Core, or do they support local control of Arizona education? And that's something, they're an unelected board, they're appointed board, they're answerable to no one. I think we all deserve to know where every single member of that board stands, yay or nay, right now. The other thing the third thing, the last thing that, well, I won't say the last thing, but the third important thing that will do is that will be a clear message to the Standards Review Committee whether their work is in vain in changing Common Core or whether we seriously want them to do that. Let me just briefly tell you, the Department of Education has a standards review process. It's a process that the board agreed to several years ago before I took office. The Common Core standards, the English language arts standards and the math standards have been set aside from that review process and they've not been looked at. The process that's been put in place was created behind closed doors by people who publicly admitted that they were advocates for Common Core and publicly stated when I took office that they didn't care that I wanted Common Core removed. As staffers, they were going to make sure that it stayed in place. So we need our board to give them a clear message that we want them working for the people of Arizona. Had the Department of Education been able to continue with its process that we normally do, we probably would have been, if not ready to present to the board, very close to presenting new standards to the Board of Education in those two Common Core areas. Instead, this committee has been in place for 6 months and not one standard has been looked at. And I don't know when it will be. I find that very problematic. And I don't want Arizona to be known as the state that just renamed and rebranded Common Core twice. We don't need to make that. The next thing I would like to talk to you about very briefly is the recent AG opinion. I think it was released a week or two ago on Friday, pertaining to opt-out. The department had an opinion from the previous Attorney General, and the Attorney General is the legal representation for the Department of Ed. Unlike many other departments, I don't have the legal right to go out and hire representation I think may represent the people of Arizona better. So I have to use the AG opinion. And you've already heard some of it today. I was absolutely appalled at what I heard happen to the children of Arizona as parents tried to exercise their right to opt their children out of invasive testing. So what we did was, we had hoped that we couldn't tell parents you can opt your children out, but we hoped that schools would quietly cooperate with parents who wanted to opt their children out. Sadly, that did not happen. So I went back to the Attorney General and I asked for them to revisit with more specific questions, because I believe what the previous Attorney General neglected in consideration of the first opinion was Title I, 601 and 602, which very explicitly defines parental rights here in Arizona. And I'd like to read just a little piece of Title I, 602D to you. It's not complete, but it says, parents have inalienable rights that are more comprehensive than those listed. Our inherent rights come from God. God gives children to parents, not to government bureaucracies, no matter how well intended those bureaucracies may be. And we asked the Attorney General to take 601 and 602 into consideration. And sadly, the opinion still came out that their parents didn't have rights. As a matter of fact, in my opinion, sorry for the redundancy, is even stronger against parents than the original opinion that came out. So I assure you that I will be working with our department to run legislation, or if it's more effective, we will work with legislatures, the legislatures, excuse me. But we will do whatever we have to do to protect parents' rights here in Arizona. So whether it's best from us or working as a team, we will make sure that your God-given rights are protected. That's what our Constitution is about. As a nation, that's what our Constitution and our laws are about in the state of Arizona. The last thing, just briefly, part of parents' rights is parent engagement. And all of you are engaged because you're here today. But we have to make sure we engage all our neighbors, the parents of the children who are in school with our children and our grandchildren. You know, all the positions, all the stance I take on education today, I've not done so because somebody told me to, but I've done so because it might have come to my attention and then I did my own research. And that's what I suggest you do with every parent. Don't take my word for it. Read it. I know what Common Core is because I've read just about every single document there is to have, and what we're being told is a lie. So I encourage you to get the parents actively engaged. And I believe that if we keep our children first, God will bless the work that we do. So thank you so much for letting me be your superintendent of public instruction and representing you. It's an honor, it's a privilege. I couldn't imagine a more wonderful job to have, and thank each one of you for being here today. And for those, Jennifer, Olga, Jenna, the work you do is phenomenal. Thank you all and God bless.